The royal family, often viewed as the epitome of tradition, decorum, and elegance, has long been an institution surrounded by both reverence and intrigue. While many perceive the royal family as a beacon of stability and regal beauty, behind the scenes, their lives have been marred by controversies, scandals, and emotional struggles that have fascinated the world for generations. One of the most iconic and heartbreaking stories to emerge from the monarchy is the tumultuous and tragic love story of King Charles and Princess Diana. It all began in the summer of 1977, when Prince Charles, then 29 years old, found himself introduced to Diana Spencer, a beautiful young woman of just 16. Diana, who came from a noble but non-aristocratic background, had been brought up in the countryside, and was largely untouched by the glitz and glamour of royal life. Charles, at the time, was already heavily involved in the royal duties expected of him, but was also navigating a personal life filled with the shadows of long-term relationships and unspoken feelings. Diana's charm and fresh energy captivated him, but at first, their relationship seemed more of a passing interest. However, over the next few years, things began to change. While Charles had initially been courting Diana's older sister, Sarah Spencer, he found himself drawn to Diana, whose youthful exuberance was in stark contrast to the more serious and composed women Charles had known. The pair's first meeting was not romantic, but something about Diana's spirit and innocence resonated with the prince. She was not like the women he had been involved with, nor was she part of the social circles he was accustomed to. She was, in many ways, a breath of fresh air, yet the relationship was far from straightforward. In fact, Diana had no real expectations of becoming involved with the Prince of Wales. She was just beginning to come into her own, having recently moved to London and settled into her new role as a socialite. But when Charles began to show a keen interest in her, their connection deepened quickly. At first, Diana was thrilled to receive attention from someone of Charles's stature, and despite the significant age gap between them, their chemistry seemed undeniable. But this was a time when public opinion and the expectations of the monarchy weighed heavily on any potential royal relationship. And there were many complications surrounding their union. Charles was not yet fully emotionally detached from his former love, Camilla Parker Bowles, and many close to the prince believed that his affection for Diana was a mere distraction, a way of satisfying his royal duty to marry. As their relationship grew, it was apparent that it was not without its emotional tensions. Charles, while still in love with Camilla, found solace in Diana's innocence and purity. Diana, on the other hand, was completely unprepared for the emotional burden of being the prince's girlfriend, let alone his future wife. It wasn't long before the couple found themselves caught in a whirlwind of public attention. The media, which had long been fascinated by the British monarchy, turned its cameras on Diana, whose beauty and charm made her an instant sensation. The tabloids followed her every move, scrutinizing her every expression and wardrobe choice, and while Diana appeared to embrace her new life, privately, she struggled with the pressure. The pivotal moment came in 1981, when, after just 6 months of dating, Charles proposed to Diana during a private moment at Buckingham Palace. Their engagement was met with an outpouring of excitement, both in the UK and around the world. For the British public, Diana represented a fresh face, someone who could bring new energy to the monarchy. The media couldn't get enough of her, and her fairy-tale wedding was eagerly anticipated by millions. The couple's engagement was marked by an overwhelming sense of joy, but there were subtle signs that all was not as perfect as it seemed. Diana was deeply apprehensive about her future role, and Charles, who was no stranger to public duties, had a complex emotional history that was becoming more evident as time passed. The royal wedding took place on July 29, 1981, in a grand ceremony at St. Paul's Cathedral. The event was broadcast live to millions of viewers, and it was a moment that seemed to promise a bright future for the monarchy. Diana wore a stunning gown designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, which became iconic for its voluminous skirt, lace details, and 25-foot train. The public marveled at the fairy-tale spectacle, and the wedding itself became an instant piece of history. However, as they exchanged vows in front of a captivated audience, there were hints of unease. Diana, who had only recently learned of the complexities of royal life, appeared nervous. During the ceremony, she made a memorable slip-up, calling Charles by the wrong name, referring to him as Philip Charles instead of Charles Philip. This small yet significant mistake reflected the uncertainty and tension that were beginning to take root in their relationship. While the wedding was a grand affair, the following years would reveal cracks in the seemingly perfect union. Diana quickly found herself overwhelmed by the pressures of royal life. She was thrust into a role she had never imagined for herself, surrounded by constant public scrutiny and expectations. Diana, known for her warmth and kindness, soon began to realize that her marriage to Charles was not as perfect as the world had believed. Her sense of isolation grew, and as she navigated the complex web of royal duties, she also faced an emotionally absent husband. Charles, despite his love for Diana, was still deeply attached to Camilla Parker Bowles, and their relationship continued in the shadows. The emotional weight of being married to a man who still harbored feelings for another woman took its toll on Diana, and the media, ever present, fed the narrative of a marriage in crisis. By the late 1980s, Diana's struggles became more visible. Her emotional distress was often evident in public, with rumors of infidelity on both sides adding to the turmoil. Diana's relationship with her husband continued to deteriorate, and in 1989, the infamous Camillagate scandal erupted when a recording of a private conversation between Charles and Camilla was leaked to the press. In the recording, Charles and Camilla discussed their ongoing emotional affair, further deepening the rift between the royal couple. It became clear that their marriage was beyond repair. The 1990s saw the couple's relationship unravel even further. Diana began to publicly speak out about her struggles with mental health, her bulimia, and the emotional toll that her marriage had taken on her. The media's relentless pursuit of her personal life only added to the strain. In 1992, Charles and Diana officially separated, and the media coverage intensified. Diana, though devastated, sought solace in her charitable work, dedicating herself to causes such as AIDS awareness and landmine removal, gaining a new level of respect from the public. Her efforts to create a new life for herself outside the confines of royal duties resonated with many, and she became a symbol of resilience and independence. Despite their separation, Diana's personal life continued to make headlines. She briefly entered into a relationship with Dr. Hasnat Khan, a Pakistani heart surgeon, but the pressures of public life and the constant media attention proved too much for the relationship to withstand. By 1997, Diana had found herself involved with Dodi Fayed, the son of Egyptian billionaire Mohammed Al Fayed. The paparazzi, who had never ceased following her, relentlessly pursued the couple during their vacation in Paris. Tragically, on the night of August 31, 1997, the car carrying Diana, Dodi, and their driver, Henri Paul, crashed in the Pont de El Alma tunnel while being chased by photographers. Diana, Dodi, and the driver lost their lives, marking one of the most tragic events in modern royal history. Diana's death sent shockwaves around the world. The public's grief was overwhelming, and millions mourned the loss of a woman who had become an icon of compassion, style, and vulnerability. Prince Charles, despite the personal struggles that had defined their marriage, showed deep emotion in the wake of her passing. The royal family's initial response to Diana's death was criticized for being cold and detached, especially when the royal standard at Buckingham Palace was not lowered in honor of Diana. This sparked public outrage, and the royal family was forced to confront the overwhelming grief of the British public. Diana's funeral, which took place on September 6, 1997, was a somber affair. Millions watched as her casket was carried through the streets of London, accompanied by her two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, who were both deeply affected by the loss of their mother. The funeral service at Westminster Abbey was attended by dignitaries from around the world, but it was the sight of Diana's sons, walking behind their mother's coffin, that captured the hearts of millions. In the years following Diana's death, her legacy continued to loom large. The royal family, while carrying on with its duties, was forever changed by the impact Diana had on the monarchy. Her influence, particularly in the areas of charity work and public engagement, reshaped how the royal family interacted with the public. Her life, marked by both extraordinary triumphs and heartbreaking struggles, remains a powerful story of love, loss, and the complexities of royal life. The royal family, particularly Prince Charles, would continue to navigate the emotional legacy left by Diana's death. Charles eventually remarried Camilla Parker Bowles in 2005, and though the couple found a measure of peace, the shadow of Diana's life and death still hangs over them. Diana's memory lives on in the hearts of those who admired her, and her influence continues to shape the monarchy today.